we were detained for no offense, for merely seeking to go and stand in solidarity and to observe the trial of Tundu Lissu. The CCM authorities are determined to violate the law and are not keen on according Tundu Lissu a fair trial.
Welcome to part 2 of this investigation. In part 1, we traced how the tensions surrounding Tanzania's 2025 election did not emerge in isolation. We explored how regional narratives, online conversations, and activist movements gradually built pressure long before election day. But to understand the full picture, we must now look deeper, beyond headlines and beyond election night events. Part 2 exposes the networks behind the narratives. Because cross-border influence is not random, it is not sudden, and it is never just a moment on social media. It is a system built over years, through relationships, through training programs, through digital ecosystems, and through the quiet but powerful links connecting activists across East Africa. This section reveals how Kenyan activism, intentionally or unintentionally, shapes political environments beyond its borders. And nowhere is this more visible than in Tanzania. Let's begin.
They're trying to scare the citizens of East Africa into complete total disarray so that people don't show up, people feel afraid for their lives, and they're not able to come out and vote.
Our comrade Agatha and Boniface are still being held by the state of Tanzania. We do not have any further information from there. They do not have their phones and they are not communicating.
Kutoa matamshi kama yale ya kufakaranisha na kuweza kutenganisha watu ni jambo la aibu.
Hataki fujo na mtu yote. Tunasema Mama Suluhu, badilika uishi. Tanzania lazima ichange. Tanzania inajulikana kwa masuala ya kusaidia South Africa, kwa masuala ya kupata uhuru kule.
I've been tortured very badly. I can barely walk. But I'm very concerned about Agatha because we were tortured together and they did very horrible things to us. So I hope that Agatha is safe.
That it's like there is now collaboration in oppressing citizens. We want to tell you that citizens of East Africa, and I am one of them, we are not going to take it lying down. To Mama Samia Suluhu, drop the charges against Tundu Lissu. Stop chasing around shadows. As observers, we have nothing to do with what is happening.
Before we continue, it's important to clarify what you're seeing in these clips. These are not Tanzanian activists speaking about their own election. These are Kenyan activists, filmed at different rallies and civic forums, discussing regional rights, democracy, and governance. To an outside viewer, their words might sound like they are describing Tanzania's situation directly. But in reality, these speeches were recorded here in Kenya, long before the current tension in Tanzania, and they reflect Kenya's own activism culture. This is the heart of the cross-border influence conversation. Kenyan activism is powerful, vocal, and well-organized. When Tanzanians online come across these messages, the language, the themes, and the emotional tone can appear to fit their own political moment. That doesn't mean the activists are targeting Tanzania. It means Kenya's activism ecosystem is loud enough and visible enough that its messages travel across borders, sometimes shaping how issues are interpreted in neighboring countries, even when that was never the intention. This overlap between local activism in Kenya and political tensions abroad is what makes cross-border influence so complex and so important to understand. Cross-border influence does not happen by accident. It happens through networks, structured, semi-structured, or informal groups of activists, researchers, media workers, and digital strategists who work across national boundaries. And in East Africa, many of these networks are rooted in Kenya, but active throughout the region, including inside Tanzania.
Tuangalie role bali ya vyama vya siasa vilivyoingia kwenye huo mgogoro, NGO zetu za ndani na za nje. Tunaambiwa kwamba vijana wale walioingia kudai haki walilipwa fedha kwanza ndio wakaingia barabarani, na wengi wao waliingia barabarani kuendana na hizo fedha walizopewa. Je, fedha zilitoka wapi? Zilitoka wapi? Kwa hiyo haya tukaangalie NGO zetu za ndani na nje wamechangia nini kwenye mambo haya.
Kilichotokea hakiendani na taswira na sifa za Kitanzania na sio Utanzania. Haikutushangaza kuona kuwa baadhi ya vijana waliokamatwa kutokana na kadhia hiyo wametoka nje ya Tanzania. Vyombo vyetu vya ulinzi na usalama vinaendelea kufuatilia na kuchunguza kwa undani zaidi kilichotokea na kuirudisha nchi katika hali tuliyoizoea kwa haraka.
Hao wenzetu wamekuja kutoka Kenya, tuwaombe, na wao wanaangalia bunge hili. Sisi Tanzania hatuna cha kujifunza Kenya, hatuna hata kimoja cha kujifunza. Tunawazidi siasa, tunawazidi akili, tunawazidi kila kitu, na wala swala la Kiingereza sisi sio kipaumbele. Tuna maisha yetu. Kwa hiyo naombe sana vyombo vya ulinzi na usalama, usikubali kuruhusu watu hao waje watuharibie nchi yetu.
Wakenya wamejitolea, lakini anachora kwamba Gen Z wa Tanzania wamelala.
You've just seen Tanzania's leaders raising serious concerns about outside influence. The president speaks of youth being funded to create chaos. She says the unrest did not reflect Tanzanian culture and that the pressure came from beyond their borders. You also heard MPs directly warning Kenya against interfering in Tanzania's internal affairs. These statements show how foreign involvement, whether real or perceived, is shaping political reactions across the region. Training pipelines and capacity building. For more than a decade, dozens of Kenyan NGOs have run regional training programs. These sessions bring together youth leaders, journalists, digital campaigners, election observers, and community organizers from across East Africa. Tanzanian participants often attend workshops in Nairobi, Naivasha, Mombasa, or Kisumu. They learn digital security. They learn campaign messaging. They learn protest coordination. They learn election monitoring tools and data collection apps. When these trained activists return home, they carry skills, strategies, and networks that did not originate locally. And this is one of the main ways Kenyan activism quietly enters Tanzania. Coordinated social media ecosystems. In the modern era, activism lives on social media. Kenyan digital influencers, political bloggers, and online advocacy teams are some of the most experienced and organized in Africa. During sensitive political periods in Tanzania, these Kenyan digital actors often amplify Tanzanian hashtags, highlight election issues, or raise international attention. Sometimes they coordinate directly with Tanzanian activists. Sometimes they act independently, but still shape the conversation. The result is the same. Kenya's online ecosystem boosts narratives that can shift the tone of Tanzania's political climate. Informal networks and peer-to-peer mobilization. Beyond official NGOs and digital campaigns, there are quieter channels, WhatsApp groups, Telegram clusters, cross-border student associations, regional journalist circles, and long-standing activist friendships. These informal networks are nearly impossible to regulate. They move information faster than traditional media. A voice note recorded in Nairobi can reach thousands of Tanzanians within minutes. A strategy document shared in a Nairobi workshop can circulate across borders before the workshop even ends. This is how influence spreads, not through conspiracy, but through human connection. Narrative exporting and frame setting. In political communication, framing is everything. Kenyan activists have long experience shaping narratives about governance, corruption, elections, police accountability, and civic rights. Over the years, Tanzanian activism has increasingly adopted these same frames, even when the local context is different. Phrases such as defend democracy, protect the vote, citizen oversight, and state capture are often borrowed from Kenya's political vocabulary. This does not mean Tanzanians lack their own narratives, but it shows how influential Kenya's activism culture has become across the region. Taken together, these pipelines, the trainings, the digital ecosystems, the informal networks, and the narrative frameworks create a powerful current of cross-border activism. And when an election season arrives, that current becomes visible. Kenyan influence does not create tensions on its own, but it can magnify them, accelerate them, or shift them into the global spotlight.
Let's be clear, the unrest in Tanzania did not begin with Kenyan activists. Kenya is only the surface. Behind that surface lies a powerful donor network operating from Nairobi because it cannot enter Tanzania directly, blocked by language, by systems, and by a lack of local access. Kenya offers the perfect gateway: strong activist networks, open funding channels, and digital reach. So, while the influence looks Kenyan, the real push comes from outside the region, using Kenya as the bridge into Tanzania.
As our resident analyst, Mr. Limo, makes clear, the story does not end with Kenyan activists. What appears on the surface as cross-border interference may in fact be part of a much deeper regional machine. If Kenya is only the doorway, then the real question becomes, who is walking through it? Who benefits from using Kenya's open civic space, its digital infrastructure, and its activist networks as a launchpad into Tanzania? In our next episode, we shift our focus beyond Nairobi and follow the trail of influence further upstream. We investigate the donor networks, the funding pipelines, and the foreign interests that shape political narratives across East Africa, often without ever being seen. This is where the real story begins. Stay tuned for Part 3.